Unrest in Shanghai against residents' requisition. New York subway gunshot suspect arrested. Russia gigantic flagship Moskva sunk by Ukraine.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It's April 15th, and here are your top stories. Videos exposed on social media on April 14th showed that residents of the Nash International Community in Zhangjiang, Pudong, Shanghai protested against the government's expropriation of their apartments as quarantine facilities and clashed with the police. The video showed that police in antivirus clothes detained some angry residents while a group of people stood screaming and photographed the chaos around them. Some photos also show residents kneeling on the ground as if pleading with the police.
Video on social media showed that some protesters were detained by the police while claiming their rights to their own apartments. According to various Weibo users from the area, the people from the complex already had parts of their building used as a quarantine site from March of this year. When they were notified that the makeshift quarantine location within their compound would be expanding, they protested the decision. They pleaded, "Shanghai government, can you please be reasonable?"
After 29 hours of street searching assisted by surveillance cameras, the man accused of shooting a subway train in Brooklyn and wounding at least 23 people is arrested. Federal officials accused the suspect of terrorist attacks on the public transport system. If convicted, he could face life imprisonment and is expected to appear in court on April 14th. The man is suspected of detonating a smoke bomb in a subway car in New York City and shooting at passengers.
A gunman set off smoke grenades in a crowded subway car and then fired at least 33 shots with a 9mm handgun on April 12th at New York City subway station. The shooter escaped in the chaos, but after the 30-hour search with the help of a tip, the suspect was arrested on April 13th by NYPD. Two law enforcement officers said the tipper was Frank James himself, calling the police to say he knew he was wanted and police could find him at the McDonald's in Manhattan's East Village.
Russian government admitted on April 14th that the flagship of its Black Sea fleet, Moskva, was seriously damaged and the crew evacuated following an explosion. Ukrainian officials claimed that the flagship cruiser Moskva was struck by two indigenous Ukrainian P-360 Neptune-class anti-ship missiles, causing the gigantic flagship to explode and sink near Odessa. Media reports that Moskva was built during the Soviet era in Ukraine naval yards.
Ukrainian head of Odessa Regional Military Administration, Maxim Makchuva, tweeted confirming that the missile cruiser Moskva was shot down by Ukrainian border guards on Snake Island. Moskva is the same warship that attacked Snake Island in the beginning of the Russian invasion. The Russian Defense Ministry confirmed the Moskva suffered significant damage after a fire broke out, and the fire on the Moskva missile cruiser caused ammunition to blow up.
On April 13th, Tesla CEO Elon Musk sent a letter to Twitter offering the company a hostile takeover offer of $41.39 billion, requiring it to be 100% privatized. Musk's offer was $54.20 a share, a 38% premium over the April 1st closing price of Twitter shares. April 1st was the last trading day before Musk publicly disclosed his 9.2% stake in Twitter. Twitter's directors and accountants plan to hold a meeting on April 14th to consider Musk's offer. The company plans to hold a full meeting to update employees on the board's response.
A major shareholder in Twitter has rejected Elon Musk's offer, but the Saudi prince hinted that he wants more money. Al-Wahid bin Talal wrote on Twitter on April 14, said, "I don't believe that the proposed offer comes close to the instinct value of Twitter given its growth prospects. I reject this offer." Musk's 9.2% stake in Twitter is the biggest of any shareholder. If the deal doesn't work, Musk warned that he would need to reconsider his position as a shareholder.
America's Department of Agriculture predicts that by the middle of this year, China will hold 69% of the world's maize or corn reserves, 60% of its rice, and 51% of its wheat. Over the past 5 years, China purchased everything from soybeans to pork to hoard. China's big purchases have pushed up global prices. The UK economist said, when China worries about food, the world pays. Global food prices were rising even before the war started to affect the supply of grains and fertilizer ingredients.
Sano grain is China's state grain stockpiler.
The economist said China has dealt with these concerns in two important ways. It has stockpiled food. Last year, a Chinese official said that the country's grain stock were at a historical high, and that it had enough wheat to meet demands for 18 months. In the long term, China is also trying to become self-sufficient. One benchmark calls for Chinese producers to meet 95% of country's demand for basic grain. On rice, they pass. On sorghum and barley, they fail. On maize and wheat, they come close.
According to Alexei Kudrinov, the Russian Accounts Chamber chief of Russia's Federal Council, Russia's GDP is set to suffer its biggest fall since 1994, with a projected drop of about 10%. The World Bank forecasts on April 10th that Russia's GDP will contract by 11.2% in 2022. The Russian chief auditor said that their forecasts primarily project a contraction of 8% to 10%, although there are also more pessimistic forecasts. The World Bank shares similar expectations on April 10th.
In markets which, as far as energy were concerned, were already very tight.
As Russia reels from Western sanctions and business departure following the invasion of Ukraine, the World Bank expects investment in Russia to drop 16.9% in 2022, exports of goods and services to tumble 30.9%, and import to plunge 35.2%. At the same time, consumer price inflation for this year is expected to accelerate to 22%. The World Bank estimates that the Russian economy will recover only a small portion of this decline in 2023 and 2024, with anticipated growth of 0.6% and 1.3% respectively.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. Let's make every day a fun day. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.